Hey, what's up? This is Thiago Titan. Welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. This is the champion guide of Lonatharil, the most recent fusion champion. He's an HP champion from the High Elves faction with a good base HP, 23,000, not bad defense, and average speed. Now let's take a look at his skills. His A1 attacks one enemy, decreases the target's max HP by 30% of the damage inflicted, places a shield buff equal to 10% of this champion's max HP for 2 turns on the ally with the lowest HP. This is a good skill, decreasing the target's max HP and giving a shield on the ally with lowest HP is always good, and of course, decreasing target's max HP. It can be useful against the Scarab King in the Doom Tower. His A2 attacks all enemies, places a shield buff on all allies for 3 turns, equal to 20% of this champion's max HP. Okay, if there are any dead allies, places a shield buff on all allies for 3 turns, equal to 30% of this champion's max HP instead. This buff cannot be removed, stolen, transferred, spread, or have its duration increased or decreased by enemies or allies. It's a 5-turn cooldown skill. When booked, it's a 3-turn cooldown. So it's good this shield cannot be removed or stolen, but it can either be, its duration can either be increased or decreased by enemies or allies. And it's a 20%, it's equal to 20% of this champion's max HP. But if there's a dead ally, this shield will be 30% of this champion's max HP. His A3 places a 30% increased critical damage buff on all allies for 2 turns, then teams up with all allies to attack a single enemy. It's a 6-turn cooldown. When booked, a 4-turn cooldown. This is an amazing skill, ally attack with all allies. It's not 2 allies or 3 allies or 4 allies, it's all allies. You can imagine in either, he will attack with 5 allies, for example. And it's a good skill. He gives an increased crit damage buff, always useful for your champions to deal more damage. And his passive inflicts 20% more damage against targets under shield buffs. I don't think this passive is very useful, but it's okay. And his aura increases ally HP in Doom Tower battles by 35%. This is a good, very good aura, but only for Doom Towers, but still it's very good. So Lonatharil, when you look at his skills, decreases target's max HP, shield that can be removed, ally attack, more because of his A1 and A2 and his aura too. He's very good against the Scarab King in the Doom Tower. He can solo the Scarab King in Doom Tower. His A3 is an ally attack, can be very useful in arena for blender teams, although we don't use these kind of teams much nowadays, but he can be very good there. And overall, Lonatharil is a good champion for progression, for Doom Tower stages, dungeons, and faction wars. It can be very useful. But now it's time to show you what this champion can do in battle. Okay, I want to start in the classic arena to show you a blender team. I'm going to use Skullcrown and Sinesha. If you don't know what a blender team is, it's a team where you use ally attack with champions that have AoE default skills, so they will deal a lot of damage even before their turn starts. And the order counts, you must use Skullcrown before Sinesha, because Skullcrown here places an extra hit if the target has more than 50% HP, and the Sinesha, it's the opposite, places an extra hit on enemies unless they're 50% HP. So Skullcrown will attack before Sinesha, that's what we want, but let's do it. Okay, we start giving attack buff, and now increase crit rate buff for everyone, and then they will all attack. We can... Okay, we aim to Hellier, and this is it. Sinesha didn't die, but you can see how useful this champion can be here with ally attack. Of course, we don't use blender teams as much as before because of swift parry sets, stone skin sets, reaction sets that decrease the damage taken. If you're going to use the blender team against a team with swift parry, they will not die, he can get his unkillable buff and he will not die. So our team might die, and this is why we don't use it as much as before. Still, Lonatharil is a very good champion to use in arena, but only for these specific blender teams. This is Dragon stage 20. Lonatharil will help a lot in this kind of dungeons, faction wars, in Doom Tower stages if you are in early mid game. That's where it's better. Early mid game. For late game is not so good, it's not so useful. But here is very useful, mostly because of his A2, it gives shields, and his A3 to ally attack. His A1 is more specific for Scarab King. I cannot show you a Scarab King battle right now because he's not in this Doom Tower rotation, so I have to wait to the next rotation to show you. But he can solo Scarab King, and I will show you later that. But for these dungeons, Doom Tower stages, faction wars, Lonatharil can be very, very useful. And of course for arena, as I showed you before, mostly for blender teams, but here is very useful. You can see his shields will help the team because Dragon deals a lot of damage, and his ally attack will help your team to deal more damage more faster. Look here, that's a lot of damage, and it can be very useful. And this is it's good. It's 1 minute and a half. It's very good. So of course he is not here to deal damage, but he will help everyone else to deal more damage thanks to his ally attack and his increased crit rate buffs. And of course his shield will help the team to stay alive. I equipped my Lonatharil with a Immortal set and a defense set. He has 84,000 HP, 3000 defense, 223 speed and 352 resistance. I can give him resistance because he doesn't need any accuracy, and he of course I could give him more HP, so the more HP he has, the bigger the shields he makes, but it was okay. And these are the masteries I gave him for dungeon bosses and Doom Tower. The recommended artifacts are Speed, Immortal, Resilience, Regeneration, Relentless, and Lifesteal if you have struggled to keep him alive. Lifesteal can be very useful. His priority stats are HP, Speed, Defense, and Resistance, and the recommended primary stats for the gloves are HP percentage or defense percentage, the same for the chest plate, speed for the boots, the ring and the amulet HP or defense, and for the banner HP or resistance. Keep in mind you must give him more HP than defense, because as I said before, the bigger his HP, the bigger the shield he creates, but you always must give him some defense too. So Lonatharil is a good champion. I won't say he's a very good champion, but he's a good champion, mostly for progression in early mid game, for Doom Tower stages, dungeons, faction wars, blender teams in the arena, and more specific for Scarab King. I cannot show you right now because, as I said before, Scarab King isn't available in this Doom Tower rotation, so I'll show you later. He can solo the Scarab King. And if you are struggling to beat the Scarab King, you have a great champion here to use, and he will help you a lot there. Not only if you're early mid game, of course, but also in late game. If you can't beat the Scarab King, you have Lonatharil. That I will show you later. So in dungeons, you can use him in Dragon, you can use him in Potion Keeps, Spider. In Spider 20, Lonatharil can be your tank champion because of his affinity. Spider's affinity in stage 20 is green, so they will attack Lonatharil, and your squishy champions like Cold Heart or Royal Guard will be protected because the Spiderlings will start to attack Lonatharil. In Fire Knight's castle he can help too, and in Ice Golem he can help, but it can be dangerous because if he deals a lot of damage, he will trigger the Ice Column special skill and all allies can die, so he can be very dangerous there. But apart from Ice Column, you can use him pretty much everywhere in the dungeons. For the Hydra, in early stages of Hydra, normal and hard. If you're early mid game, not early because in early game the Hydra is closed for you, but if you're in mid game, if you're starting the Hydra, Lonatharil can be useful too. So that's all about Lonatharil for this video. Let me know in the comments what you think about this champion. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video.